with the development of the Caribbean free man, he began to get a kind of mobility, unique. First place, because he was a skilled craftsman, they couldn't do without him. They couldn't maintain the plantations without him. A lot of them became free human beings with voices. And they began to connect in the early 18th century with the free man in New England, because the winters were short in New England. And there wasn't nothing to do for a slave to do all the year round. So gradually, Africans began to work their way out of slavery in New England. So you got a literate class of thinkers. In the United States, you got a literate class in the West Indies. They do not think of themselves as separate and distinct. They don't make any distinction between themselves. They don't make a lot of the silly distinctions that are being made today. These distinctions were made by white sociologists who intend to put one against the other and conquer both. Now, there was a meeting early in the century. The Caribbean free man began to come to the United States. Prince Hall from Barbados built the Black Masons. He didn't call it Masons. He didn't call it Shriners. He called it the African Lodge. Look at this word Africa now. Russ Swam, a Jamaican, would be one of the editors of Freedom Journal. Robert Campbell, another Jamaican, would go with Martin Delaney in the search for a place. We're coming together intellectually. We're doing something then that we are not even doing now. We're tuning into each other. We're not calling names. We're not acting stupid and funny. We realize we're all one people. And this will continue now. It's almost 100 years of good relationship lost because you haven't learned your basic history of how we related to each other once and have to relate to each other again if we're going to survive. This went on down to the end of the century. Now, at the end of the 19th century, Caribbean scholars looked at that international African struggle, the colonization society, the ability and the effort of Africans to come together. And they finally put a name on that struggle. They called it Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism was brought into being ideologically by three Trinidadians, H. Sylvester Williams, George Padmore, C.L.R. James. Then a Jamaican, Marcus Garvey, added the nation concept to it. More and more Caribbeans who would be killed for the radical activity at home found a radical outlet in the United States that they otherwise would not have. But at the middle of the 19th century, they began to lose their culture continuity and became English. And if you go to Jamaica today, there's very little Africanness there. They will tell you about that Dutch uncle, that Scottish father, that English cousin, everything except Africa. And at a conference in Jamaica a few years ago, I asked the question, where would Garvey be safe in all of the Caribbean islands? I said, no place. Because if he was in Jamaica, some disranged Jamaican would stone him to death. I said, if he's going to be safe, he may not be safe in some parts of Harlem. He sure wouldn't be safe in Atlanta. color conscious Washington, he wouldn't be saved. He might be saved in certain parts of Bedford-Stuyvesant. See, we lost the meaning of the great gifts, the intellectual gifts of the Caribbean mind away from home when we start saying, oh, I don't bought that African stuff. I ain't lost nothing over there. Malcolm X said you lost your mind over there. In conclusion, if we arrive at anything in the world, we're going to have to take a holistic view of ourselves in the world. We have to look at all African people, the millions in the Pacific, the over 100 million in India. We have to look at the Dravidians in India, African people and the related African people. We have to look at the thousands and the millions in South America. We've got maybe over 250 million African people living outside of Africa in the two hemispheres. You probably have over 200 million African people living in Asia and related territory. The population of Africa has been counted as 500 million for 50 years, meaning Africa's population is static because the African man is sleeping away from home. And I know you don't believe that. We have to stop answering to the word minority. And we have to stop being shy of each other. Wherever we are on the face of the earth, we must say in our hearts and then with our voice, there is a brother. Brother, how are you? Then we must stop being consumers and start producing something. We in the Western world must be charged with the responsibility of industrializing Africa. We got too much to do. If we've overcome slavery, we can overcome crime. Don't tell me about something that's hard. I know it's hard. Don't let your children tell you that mathematics is hard. I can't learn mathematics. It must have been hard for those people who put up the pyramids, but they got them up there. Once we come together as a people and march on the stage of the world again, we will change the world for all times, and we will give the world a new kind of humanity. We must stop being strangers to each other. A few years ago, some brothers from occupied New Guinea, the parts ruled by Indonesia, came to the United States. They were being escorted by some Englishmen, and when they crossed the room and said, "Brother," called me brother, the Englishman said, "I'm not too sure whether they can be classified as Negroes." I said, "There's no such thing as a Negro." And I said to them, I said, "I have to you," pointing to the English, "I have nothing to say, but to them, I have something to say that I say to every African on the face of this earth. And this is our only salvation. Brother, take your brother's hand."
good afternoon. For those of you who've been living on another planet, that was Dr. John Henry Clark. And we chose Dr. Clark to kick off this show. First of all, a lot of things that I say on this show might go in one ear and out the other, but if you're hearing them from Dr. The preeminent historian and genius, Dr. John Henry Clark, then maybe it makes a little more sense. He talked about the Caribbean, free blacks in the Caribbean, influencing free blacks in the United States. He also listed the fact that when blacks got free, they didn't disassociate themselves from their environment, from slavery and fighting slavery. They didn't just run off and stick their money somewhere in their butt and forget about their brothers and sisters. Those names that you saw were actual names of blacks who were slaves and then got free and fought against slavery the whole time. And he ended his speech with, we have one salvation, and that is, brother, take your brother's hand. I thought that was a great segue to my guest today. We got Black Spades in the house, and Black Spades are doing big things. They've always been doing big things for their community. I mean, they've always been like strong in the community. But now they are making like global moves, and they're making moves that separate them from a lot of other gangs who have not made that leap from quote-unquote gangs to community organizations with a sole purpose of looking out for our people. With that, because that was a little wordy, with that, I'm going to introduce, I'm going to let these Black Spades introduce themselves. And we got, if you look at this gentleman here, it's a president on there. Shotgun Rob is here. And we're going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to go this way, because I want to get to Rob last.
My name is Stanley Prelude, a.k.a. BS, 2nd Division Black Spades, South Bronx, Bryan Avenue.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Goodie, and I'm the president of the females of the 5th Division.
My name is Robert, and I'm the president of the 5th Division. They call me Shotgun Rob.
All right.
And our
That's your
division
camera
is-
somewhere
yeah, I
over
see
there
it
in
now,
that
I see it.
vicinity.
Our division is on 165th and Hall Place now, right off of Prospect in the Bronx. And we, like he said, we've been transitioned from a gang to an organization. Now we do things, we give back. We do things for our community. Before, we used to be destructive to our community. We making sure we give back a lot. We feed the homeless, we clothe them, we do clothes drive, coat drives, food drives. You know what I'm saying? We do all kind of things. We get picnics for them. During the summer and stuff, we throw dances, we do a lot. We trying to get back and make sure nobody, this how we formed anyway. It's the community, to take care of our community, make sure nobody come in there and disturb our community, from our kids to our elders. We make sure that everybody can walk around and is protected. You ain't got to worry about walking around, nobody bothering you while you see a spade out there. We make sure that's one of our purposes.
All right. Take it easy on the table, because you got a microphone. We got a little time to talk, and I want to get into when you became Spades. You were one of the founding members. Is that correct, or
I've been in
correct
Spades
me?
from 69. Spades started
1969,
in
wow.
68. I wasn't a founding member. Founding members, they was original Savage Sevens.
That's right. That's
Those
right.
are the
that's
founding
right.
members of the Black Spades.
That's right. Now, were you born in the Bronx?
Yes.
You were born in, and you were born in the Bronx?
No, I'm from Long Island.
You're from Long Island, and you were born,
I was born in
in
Harlem, and I moved to the Bronx when I was 7.
Okay, how old were you when you moved to the Bronx?
I moved to the Bronx in 1996. I'm a new spade.
Okay,
I'm a new generation Spade.
Oh, nice. That makes my life easier
That's
because
because we don't die, we multiply.
apparently, and there's the proof. I thought you was like, I know black don't crack, but I was like, you know, you look good. You said you became a spade in '69. That is like almost, you were like almost one of the first recruits. Take us back.
Well, it started like this with us. We were going to junior high school. Back then, you know, a lot of the blacks was getting jumped. It wasn't no games. We didn't form a game then. And a lot of them was getting jumped in the schools and going to the bus stops and the train stations and stuff. That's how we really formed to protect ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So to stop them from jumping blacks, we formed our own. And once we started forming our own, we just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it started off in Bronxdale.
Okay, that was going to be my question.
And that was the first division out there in Bronxdale. And then it was the protection was the schools like around there by Bronxdale, Southview and stuff, like 123, 131, 125. Those are schools that was the focus of the area of what was going on back then. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it started at.
And you said kids were getting jumped by who?
Yeah, jump by other gangs. We know they had their little gangs out there, like them Skulls and all, man. A couple of them, you had gangs out where we wasn't out formed as original as our gang yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But after we did form ours, we done branched off so much that we formed other gangs right off of us.
Right.
And other organizations right off of us. So we just kept on, going. We just kept adding to us.
How many divisions did you guys end up with?
Oh, if I'm correct, I know we got 100 and...
Jesus Christ. Okay, all
correct,
right, that's good enough number.
See, we got a lot of division chapters. Then we had different spades. You had baby spades, young spades, black spades, queen of spades, outlaw spades, rapid troll spades, white spades. We had,
white spades, that's like white chocolate.
Yeah.
I like that.
Then we had the Gestapos. We had so many spades, and there was different divisions though. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their own area they controlled.
How did the growth first take place? Was it through the schools or through people coming to the projects? And how did it
really took place from the schools because that's where it started. People getting jumped at.
Right.
Now, once Bronxdale started it, and everything to 77, that's how the Bronxdale started getting the projects and everybody coming in. Right. And then after that, a lot of blacks seen them fighting again, or we started coming in. Everybody started coming in. And the first few divisions are the divisions that was the first ones formed there.
Right.
And they were, Peter and all of them. And you got a lot of original spades. They still out here, but, they don't come and be out there like that.
Right, I understand.
I wish they would
there's
come back
Panthers
out.
and then there are Panthers. There's spades and then there are spades. I understand that. That's easy. Brother BS, when did you become a spade? What were the circumstances that brought you into the Black Spades organization?
I was a spade since 72.
Since 72, all right.
And I was a baby spade.
Wow.
In the South Bronx on Hoe Avenue, Bryant Avenue, 2nd Division. My president was Black Rudy.
Right.
And I left Harlem, came to the Bronx, and it was a lot of games. It was the Son of Satan's up 2 blocks up. The No Man's was 3 blocks down. The Sabbath Skulls was on Hunts Point. And when I moved from Hoe Avenue to Bryant Brian was the Spades. So I had to fight Russell, one of the warlords, and my young Soupy was the president of the Young Spades. He was like, "You fight Russell, a belt fight, because we had to have belt fights back then. You know, and I beat him up in the belt fight. And then I had to run through the line.
Yeah,
We got a line. Everybody, you only get one swing with sticks, chain, pipe. You can't hit him in the head. You just got to hit him this way while he's running
body.
this way, in the body. Not in the head, all the body right here. And I ran through it. And after I did all that, I was a spade.
You got him a spade.
That's how I joined Black Spades.
Wow. And how old were you when you
was
were required
13
to
when
run
I
this
was
gauntlet?
I was 13.
13, wow. Wow, my brother, my brother.
And from that day to now, I've been a spade. You know, and
But see, a lot had changed.
only the people that know me and know my division, and you know, now it's branched out because we got bigger, you know. And I didn't believe now in 2017 we would be like this. You know, it's really got me really proud because I'm like, I remember how we used to be back then, fighting and rumbling and all these games and all this stuff. Now we all older now, we got families, kids, and ain't no shame in me.
That's a big. Well, Dr. Clark was referring to that, but that's a big part of the inspirational story that we need told. You grew up fast, but if you're willing to commit to yourself, it's never over until they drop the box in the dirt. Until then, the game goes on. I don't know if you're aware, because you talked about baby spades, but the Panthers had a thing called Panther Cubs that shows that even though you had different approaches to the same problem, you had similar mindsets and solutions going on. And I think a lot of that brought this thing full circle. You became a spade in '96, you said?
No, I moved to the Bronx in 1996.
You moved to the Bronx in
I became a
'96.
spade in the end of, I think it was 2014.
Wow.
I initially, it was crazy, because a friend of mine, Josie, who's a member of the 17th Division, he came to me. He was like, I'm trying to get my SSI, I need my appeal. And then he said, I wrote the appeal up. He was like, wow, you could really do this. Then he said, well, you know what? We got something called TBS, you know, the Black. I was familiar with the space because I lived across the street from Katona Park, and I used to watch from afar when they used to have the cookouts and stuff like that.
Wow, so you joined up actually to New Direction.
Yeah, that's how I started initially. And I came in
wow, beautiful.
to TBS, and they needed a secretary. And they was, you know, they needed proposals written, and they needed a secretary. So that's how I initially became a member of the Black Spades. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't realize how intense it was in the beginning, you know, and it was like, you know, once I started coming to the meetings and stuff, and then going out, you know, to different events. We was going to City Hall, you know, doing different stuff, and I was like, wow. And it made me feel good, because, you know, it's like, I wasn't a Black Spade. I didn't grow up in the Bronx, but my story's the same. It's just like just different locations, but the story is still the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Doing damage to myself, my community, you know, and it gave me a chance, because I have 10 kids, so it gave me a chance to do something good, and to allow my children to see me working to give back to the community, trying to show them something different and to change their mindset, you know, because they got the gangs now. The kids is killing each other, shooting each other,
Right.
but just to try to switch it up and let them see something good, because what's going on now is so much self-hate. You know, we've never been taught to love ourselves, you know, because white people have always made us feel ugly. You know, they always made us feel ugly and inferior. You know what I'm saying? So It's about being able to go out and teach these kids, listen, you're beautiful and you are somebody and you can be somebody. All you got to do is put your work in. I got my associate's degree in 2010 after my daughter got her bachelor's degree. And that was the agreement. You graduate, I'll go back. And you know, and that was another milestone for me in making me want to give back to the community. You know, because like I said, while people's out here suffering, we still suffer racism. You know, nothing changed but the year and the time, but we still have the same circumstances going on, you know what I mean? And then like, I live in Soundview, and it's like, my block where I live at, in my particular area, is predominantly Mexican, you know, and when I first moved over there, you know, people looking down at me, looking at me all crazy, and I'm like, you almost as dark as me, and my thing is, you think you're superior to me, but when white people look at us, they consider us all the same. They don't see you as Mexican and see me as black. They see us as all as people of color. And it's about trying to unify our people and stand strong and teach, you know, and to teach us and be able to love ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't love and help somebody else if you don't love yourself. You got to learn who you are and your history and where you came from to be able to stand, to be able to understand who you are and to be able to reach out to the community. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that our kids follow on the right path, giving them guidance and direction. They got a lot of us still strung out there on drugs. You know what I'm saying? We did the clothing drive. We went over there to the pantry. We gave out clothes. You know what I'm saying? We fed the homeless. We did the peace rally in a prayer vigil and along with Aisha Sekou and Street Corner Resources. We did the prayer vigil when a little boy was getting bullied because he was gay and he killed one and stabbed the other one. You know, and
we did the parade.
We did the parade, and these are the type of things that we're doing. We out here trying to help our community because we need help. We need to, if we don't unite and come together and start loving and supporting each other, we're gonna die out here. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. You know, and it hurts my heart when I see a black-owned business and people won't go in it. Like we cook. People wouldn't come in our restaurant and patronize it. They'll go to the chicken spot. They'll go to the Chinese restaurant. There's no type of love and no type of support, and we have to stop that. We need to come together, and that's what we're about. We're about helping our people and trying to unite our people.
Yeah, that's what we stand for. Our banner says Black Spades for peace. And we want to let everybody know we peaceful right now, because if you knew us back then, you will see why we say for peace now. Because back then we were some violent people.
Let's talk about that, because first of all, Shotgun Rob was here before, and I dropped the damn hard drive, and he was gracious enough to come back to bail me out of damnation. But we talked about a few things. You have really been through it in this thing that we all are a part of. If we grow up if we grow up black anywhere in the world, I'm not just gonna say New York or America, anywhere in the world. Tell us some of the things that we talked about. The fact that you're a parent. Yeah. That you had been shot at one time, incarcerated, that this has not been like a free money life for you. No. You earned your stripes, Mr. President.
The spades is my life, period. Once I started with that, I've been a spade. Our motto is, once a spade, always a spade. You know what I'm saying? Once you with us, you always with us. It ain't no such thing, I was a spade. Everybody, if you was a spade, you know what division you was in, you knew who your president was, your warlord was, your vice president was, and what your position was. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as I was a spade. Because we ain't go nowhere, we still here.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We're still out here. And at one time, we became the biggest gang in New York City, where we had about like 80,000 stores and all 5 boroughs. It wasn't a borough in New York City that we didn't have spades in. Now we done branched out that we all over. We down south, we in Boston, we in Washington, Maryland.
Yeah, in Europe.
We are here. We in Europe, we everywhere.
Yeah,
we all over now. We international now. You know what I'm saying? We done branched out like mad. But as me, mine, I came up when it was really in the rough times, when the 70s and stuff like that. especially 70s. That's when it was gang rumbling. And I mean, when we rumbled, we fought. We had our little rumbles. We'd go in. Cops would chase us, runners off the trains, buses. We be going all over. We ain't care. We fought. But we were fighting to protect our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? That's how we did. Now, some of us got caught out there. I was one. When we get caught and everything, you're going to pay for your actions. And I got incarcerated. I did 24 years altogether. You know what I'm saying, for mine. And I've been shot 7 times. I've been stabbed and hit by a cop. And I'm still held by the grace of Allah.
Yeah, God had plans for
He
you,
got
I
plans
guess.
for me.
Yeah.
Because he still got me here. But we all did our little dirt and everything. But now, as like my brother said, we got older. We know what we did back then, but what we gonna do now? We got our kids and grandkids coming up. We don't want them following the paths that we had to go through, the trial and tribulations we read through of fighting, and you can't walk through this block because you the wrong color or this ain't your area. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want our families like that raising up the way we raised up. You know what I'm saying?
You talk about what's it like to have children and family, people who love you, people who need you, and you're locked down for a quarter of a century.
Okay.
Let people have some insight because they see.
I was fortunate. Some people don't have families when they get locked up for a long time. Then I'm saying that still be there for them. My wife made sure that my sons and all of them was there wherever I went, whatever job I was in, they're there. I left them. You know what I'm saying? They was babies. I came back home. They were grown and got kids of their own.
Wow.
I left, I had black hair.
Wow.
Big, long hair down, because I'm part Blackfoot. Long hair down my back, black hair, beard down here. I went in like that. I came out bald and gray. But that's the difference. That's how I grew up. I grew up in jail. But I raised most of my kids through the system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had family that was there for me. They made sure I was all right in there, and they brought my wife every time, visit. I don't care where she at, what she doing, was she right or wrong, she always got me in her corner. And she was there for me at my lowest, when most people, they girls walk away and leave them. She never left me.
Sister Cookie, you talked about the politics of this dance we do. There were things happening that were forces that you couldn't see that were manipulating our movements in a lot of ways. When Rob and BS talk about the problems that different kids were going through in schools. There were also like political things that were going on that no young black person could be aware of, but are influencing your life.
Absolutely.
And you see these things as they have taken fruition. You know, you see the grand plan after you come out of jail after a quarter of a century, and you see the land grab that was in place, the way that different political mechanisms manipulated black people specifically so that they could seize the land, gentrify the land, and a lot of things that you expected to get better, you realize have gotten worse for your children and grandchildren. What's that realization like? To see how the gang culture has grown, and unlike when you started, where you were basically doing the same thing that black people have always done. I don't care whether it's the numbers game or whatever, the Harlem Renaissance, clinging to themselves and forming their own thing in a system that doesn't want them. Now you come out, and a lot of black people have the illusion of inclusion if they think they get, if they can get their hands on money. But there's also this isolation in the community that has made us more violent, more self-hating, and more shallow. And this is the world you have to fight in.
Can I answer that?
Yes, please.
And you said it right there in a nutshell. And that's why I keep stressing it to the kids, and like I said, my kids as well, about education, about educating yourself. Because, you know, we walk around and
Right.
white people teach you what they want you to know.
Right.
You know, I never was aware of the fact that Central Park was once black people they owned Central Park. That was a black community, Central Park. They all black owned businesses and everything, and the white people came in, that's why I love DX so much, David X, because him and Charlie Rock, and I learned this, and they was telling me, I said, you got to be kidding me. And that was because I never learned that in school. Like I said, I grew up in Long Island. I went to all white schools. I mean, black awareness is more prevalent now, so black people are a little bit more aware of some of their history.
Right.
But then we got the rap music that comes into play, because now they can't brainwash us with the school thing no more, because they got so many different programs out here, black people, you know. So now they brainwash our kids through music.
Right.
You know, and they be on TV, they show the sex, the drugs, the guns, the money, $800 jean. And I tell my kids, that's not realistic.
Right.
It's not realistic. That's how they brainwash you. If you, like I said, I grew up in Long Island. I was fortunate. You know, my mother was a nurse. My father worked in the post office. I grew up in a white neighborhood. It was maybe 6 of us, 7 of us at the time when I first grew up. They burned swastikas the cross on our lawn. I still have the paper clippings. And it was terrible for me. It was terrible for me growing up. We couldn't even cross Hempstead Turnpike. We had to stay, I grew up in Elmont on the side of the racetrack. We couldn't cross Belmont Racetrack because they would run us and beat us. And our school was on the other side, but they made sure they bust us there. We got bused back and forth through elementary. And then when we went to high school, same scenario, getting chased. With, the white kids was chasing us and beating us and stuff, but it was a little different because we didn't have gangs like the Black Spades and all of them. We didn't have enough of us to really congregate and come together like that to fight them because we were outnumbered by the whites. Well, the particular part of Long Island I grew up in, the people of color were outnumbered. So we didn't have that safety in numbers that the Black Spades and the rest of them had in the Bronx. You know, and you know, I have a troubled teen. My 17-year-old was out of control at one point, and he went to Community Connections, and he got his, you know, self together, and oh my God, I can't remember the name of it, but you know, he had good people behind him, and he's back on track now, you know what I mean? But he was running around the streets and doing stupid stuff, you know what I mean? And I was telling my son, don't believe what you see.
Right.
People telling you, oh, one time he came on with a red bandana, oh, you a blood now? My oldest son was 18 when they killed him. He was a Golden Glove boxer. He probably would have been the next Mayweather, you know, but he got gunned down at the age of 18. That's not realistic. I'm like, black on black crime is crazy. Y'all killing each other off for no reason. And I'm telling people, like, if we all come together, if we could come together as a people and stand strong, and that's what, and white people know this. They know this, that if we come together, we wake up and really unite and fight and stand strong as one, they couldn't do nothing with us. We would be running this country.
Right.
But unfortunately, we don't have that camaraderie. We don't have that unification.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do now. We out here trying to unify our people. You know what I'm saying? Let them know, listen, it's okay. You're black, you're beautiful. You could be anything you want to be. Yeah, we do got 2 stripes. You're black, you're male, I'm female, so that's automatically 2 stripes. A college degree does not guarantee you a job, because I have one. I've been to prison. My story's the same. I did maybe 6 years altogether in the state prison at different times, but the story's still the same.
Right.
And you know, I try to tell people, they say, oh, 7 years, your record is clear. That's a lie. Any job of substance, anything of substance, they background check from 18 on up.
Right.
You know, so, and it's hard out here. It's hard for our people.
Right.
We struggling. We still fighting with addiction. We got mental illness. It's prevalent in our community. You know, we have the high blood pressure, the diabetes, because we don't take care of ourselves. you know, our men, they're getting colon cancer and all different kinds of stuff because we don't like to go to, you know, the doctors. Black people have a thing about going to doctors. And not only that, you know, I used to tell people, it's not that we don't like to go to doctors. The health insurance that they offer us doesn't cover a lot of those things.
Right.
You know, Medicaid stuff don't cover the type of services that we need as people of color. Because like I said, we grew up in the majority of our families are from the South. We grew up eating pork. We weren't eating healthy and stuff like that and taking care of ourselves. So as we get older, that catches up with us. So, you know, we don't have that health care and stuff in our neighborhoods. We don't get that good health care.
Hold on, I beg to differ. Who say pork ain't healthy? We grew up on it. My mother cooked with lard, fat back, everything.
Yeah, but
I grew up on it. They
I
lived to
sweet pork, like
99,
chitlins and all that.
99, 98. My grandmother 102.
right, but I'm just saying.
All of them lived real long out eating pork.
No, but the point I
Yeah,
was
but they
trying to
didn't.
make.
But what they were eating was not. Well, it wasn't modified chemically. Well, what you have now, they have some stuff today that they put in the feed for the animals that turns a newborn piglet into a 600-pound monster
Within 3 months.
in a couple of weeks. You are eating what? If it was just the food.
No, that's the food that's not healthy.
But that's the food that they designed specifically for our communities. It's not. It's not that the God put the food here. So there's nothing that God put here for you to eat or breathe or
unhealthy.
drink that in and of itself is gonna cause you that the kind of problems that you are. But right now, there is an attack on every single, and she's right. The attack is on the healthcare system.
Absolutely.
The attack is on the food you eat. It's on the air you breathe. It's in the water you drink. And she's also correct in that our history, if you look at our history, we all know about Black Wall Street. But what we don't know is that these communities flourished all over the country. It wasn't just in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In New York, there were prominent Black communities.
Absolutely.
Everywhere we were left alone, that we could start our own businesses and flourish, we flourished. And when you talk about the 60s, 69, a lot of the stuff that happened in the Black communities happened because you're talking about a time when there was Adam Clayton Powell and Malcolm X and the FBI and organized crime deliberately flooded the Black communities with heroin, deliberately, to stop this kind of Black consciousness that was happening. They targeted. There was always drugs,
still
but
doing
drugs was basically for
But
musicians
back then, it
and
wasn't
grown
no
people.
drug like you just said, heroin.
Right.
That was the main drug.
Right.
That's all you
Right.
seen was them slumped over
Right.
like this.
Right.
They
And
were
they put it
full.
in schools for kids. There was always drugs, jazz musicians, but this was for grown people, and kids didn't have access. And all of a sudden, kids in junior high school and grammar school was now getting access to drugs for practically nothing. So for like $2 a bag, the whole damn hangout could get high. And this was not coincidental. Black people don't have any factories that they can manufacture guns in the Bronx, and they ain't got no poppy fields that they can manufacture opium and process heroin. This is brought out from grown people, grown white people with a lot of power and a lot of money, specifically.
all that in here, but we get blamed for it.
But you know what
Correct,
happened?
but
see,
because they were scared of you.
Yeah, we
They
get
didn't
blamed
do
for
it because you bad. They did it because they feared that you were getting too damn smart and too damn strong.
And just like she said before, they teach, like in school, they teach everything, they call it history. but
Right.
you don't see them teach black history.
Right.
You know how much black history that we need to teach our kids and let them see all their black history, that they be shocked and learn. Like she just said
Right.
about Central. There's a lot of things that a lot of us wouldn't know and be shocked about.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? With our
Correct.
black history.
Correct.
Well, nobody teach black history in school.
Right,
You'll
because
teach
they
science,
fear you, not
you'll say
because they
this and
truly
that,
think
but
you.
you don't want to
Right,
learn
right.
about our
They have
culture.
convinced you. They have convinced you that you are somehow not as good as
Inferior.
everyone else.
Inferior.
But they only teach you that because they fear you, and they fear you because they know the truth. They know your history far better than you did.
Not only
You do.
that, a lot of stuff, the washing machine, a lot of stuff, a lot of the
Right.
basic electro
Right.
household things that we use today were invented by black people.
Right.
Everything.
Right.
They were invented by black people. As far as the opioid epidemic,
Right.
like you said, it was designed to kill us off.
Right.
But see, it backfired.
Right.
It backfired.
Right.
Cause
Right.
see, now the heroin,
Right.
it's always been heroin.
Right.
Since I was a kid,
Right.
they always had the heroin out in Long Island because that's their drug of choice in Long Island, opioids. But once it started, the average housewife, doctors, lawyers, nurses, their children, all of their children became addicts and they
They
dying,
wanna do
they
something
having
about
car accidents and killing people
Right.
and stuff. Now it's a problem
Yeah.
because it's affecting mainstream white America.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's always
Correct.
been a problem in
Correct.
our area, but nobody acknowledged it because that was just a way for
And
them.
the solution is different. Now we have to handle this with compassion and understanding because it's a terrible thing. But when opium hit the black communities, especially the black
Vietnam,
schools in the 60s,
right after Nam.
we got the Rockefeller program, 3 strikes you're out, life in jail. When the crack epidemic hit our communities, we got mass incarceration. We got super predators being labeled super predators. And now the prison system for black people is in the millions. It's a couple of million people who are either on lockdown or reporting. I'm talking about black people. So it is a completely different thing that is going on, a completely different design. But we only got like 10 minutes left.
White people,
you go,
they
you the
getting
president.
shares to build prisons to make
That
sure
is correct. That is
that
correct.
they make sure that they have enough prisons.
That is correct.
Because they're going to fill them up
It's a
with us.
private entity.
That is correct.
Because 9 out of 10, what's in there? Black and Spanish.
That is correct. That is correct.
That's what's filling them up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They build all these new prisons, and they getting shares.
And they privatized.
And they getting paid for
right,
it.
right.
That's
And
what
I'm
I said,
glad,
they
I'm
privatized.
glad
That's
you
what I just said.
mentioned that because what we were saying goes directly into what's going on now because the president has removed every single rule and regulation on Wall Street so that whatever is happening now, the prison system, the housing situation, all of this is going to blow up 10 times worse than it is now, and it's off the hook now. And you talked about education. They said the healthcare industry, they removed 7 words from the healthcare industry. Among those 7 words are words like science-based. You can't even teach, you can't even mention the word science-based in dealing with healthcare. And knowledge is power. When they remove all of that and all the rules, when they've already made it legal for any policeman to just grab you walking down the street, murder you in broad daylight, and for the whether or not you have a weapon or have ever been charged with a crime or anything, just can murder you in broad daylight.
Get away with it.
And they're gonna walk and they're gonna call you all sorts of names. We do have a crisis situation. You are handling it the only way I know to handle it.
And they're trying to stop us again because now they're trying to close down a lot. Matter of fact, they said at the end of this year they're going to close a certain amount of schools.
I think it was 11. It was
Right.
Yeah,
on
they
the news
getting
last
ready
night.
to close all these
It was on the
schools.
news last night.
Why is you closing them? We need these kids in school to teach. We don't need them in the street. We need them in school.
we're running out of time, and I got to get y'all back because this is an incredible conversation. But since we're running out of time, I want y'all to concentrate on the peacekeepers, what you're doing, how we can help y'all do it better. Since you the president, you've just recruited everybody within the sound of my voice to get into this army. So how do we do this thing? How do we do this thing? What can we do?
Well, like my sister here said, first we got to come together as one for us to get anywhere, because you can't get nowhere unless you have numbers.
That's right.
If we ain't got enough numbers, it's just a waste of time. Because it's going to go on one ear and out the other. But when they see it's a force and it's the numbers, now they got to look at it.
I'm thinking about going to see Al Sharpton.
Excellent.
We need all these politicians.
That's what I want to do.
Excellent.
I want this Black
Excellent.
Spades and us to go pay a visit to Al Sharpton and have a talk with him.
Al Sharpton, we'll listen to you. You on 30 frames a second, and you rolling with Aisha Sekou anyway.
And what's his name?
Al Sharpton.
Well, he's not resembling, right?
Yes, Al Taylor.
I want to see Al Taylor too. I need all.
We can make some of those things happen. We can make some of those
let
things
us come
happen.
and sit down and talk with them, and we can get together.
Right.
Then they're saying, because same way we need them, they really need us.
All right, brother. All right.
That's what I want to do. I want to see Al Sharpton. I want to meet him.
All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna make that happen.
The Spades want to talk to him.
Because we need your input, we need your strength, we need your wisdom. We're dealing with some powerful forces, and we need some people who know what it's like to be on the other side, you know.
And that's what it is for me. When I initially got my associates, I got it in medical administration. When I took my bachelor's, now I'm in my bachelor's degree, I'm taking social work. And I changed my major, one, because I couldn't get a job because of my criminal history, and two, because I want to be able to go into different facilities and different places and be able to help people. Because like I said, my mother suffers from mental illness. She was an RN, and it breaks my heart when I see my mother had a master's degree and everything, and to see how the mental illness, she became overwhelmed because of the prejudice from the Caribbeans at her job, other black people, and it's just too much for her. She had a nervous breakdown. And I want to be able to reach out to our people, because you can't teach about addiction, mental illness, poverty. You can't go out and, I mean, book knowledge is one thing, but to really be able to empathize with somebody and to really be able to relate to them and feel that certain things you have to experience firsthand. You know what I mean? To be able to really empathize and to be able to really reach out to our people, you have to experience these things. You know what I mean? Because other people say, oh, I don't know why they just don't go get a job, why they on welfare. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know. A lot of us came from big families. Some people had to go out. You know, like I said, the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s was a terrible time for drugs. They had the heroin epidemic, and right after that, the crack epidemic came. And a lot of kids were raising kids. A lot of babies had babies. You know, their parents wasn't there. The older children had to go out and scramble and hustle and had to quit school to take care of their younger siblings because their parents were hooked on drugs. So, you know, everybody's story is different. You know what I mean? Like I said, I never judge nobody, and I'm humble. You know what I mean? Because everybody's story is different. So you can't judge nobody because you don't know their story. But that's the thing, being able to reach out and empathize with our people, because we've been there. I've been to jail. You know what I mean? I know what it is to be locked up. I didn't have the support of my family. When I got locked up, my father was like, sayonara. And he didn't come see me. My mother was in a mental institute, psychiatric hospital at the time. My father was fed up with me, with my addiction, you know, the crack epidemic, the crack addiction going on. And my father left me up there for 3 years. And guess what? I didn't go back. Not in a new charge. I did 2 violations, but after the 3rd one, I got it because I knew that I was on my own. I didn't have nobody to come visit me, opposed to Rob. I didn't have nobody to come visit me. My kids went to foster care because I wasn't there. My mother was in a psychiatric hospital. So it was hard. So that kept me focused and kept me from going back to jail. But I learned my lesson, and I didn't go back to jail.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I've been in prison too. Just a lot of time. I changed my life, you know. Changed my life now.
if you're a spade, most of us spades experience prison
Right.
because of how we grew up and what we were doing. We fought against even the police,
Right.
so we got locked up even for just being outside,
Right.
for wearing these colors on our black.
Right.
They see them on our back, oh, that's a spade. They want to bother us. We ain't doing nothing, but they're harassers.
Well, Malcolm X went to prison,
That's
and
right.
and Jesus Christ was executed.
Everybody.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah. Martin Luther King kind of went to jail, but Malcolm went to prison.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ was executed by the government. Your experience, your life experience, there's a difference between whether or not your life experience is a place to grow or just hitting the wall. And a lot of people now have hit the wall. They don't know how to move forward. And it is just so inspiring to see you guys moving forward.
Yeah, we know how to move forward. We just need the help to move forward.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna see what we can do about
reach
that.
out to the community. You know what I'm saying? We want to see the way that we was known before from, now I got papers and I got the book from the police books, everything, where how they talk bad about us, how we were the biggest and most violent gang in New York City. But now what can you say about us?
Right. Well,
Nah,
some people say the
everybody-
biggest, baddest gang in the
everybody-
United States military.
We out here trying to do the most good out of all gangs now.
Right.
You know what I'm
Maybe
saying?
you should tell that to the police. They can stand and do some good things too. We only got like 30 seconds. What is the next thing y'all gonna be involved in? You got 30 seconds.
Right now, the next thing we got a dance coming up on 155th and St. Nick at Prince Hall. We got a Black Spade first annual black and white dance. All right, that's coming up. And then we also getting into doing our documentary.
Excellent.
We doing a documentary on the Black Spades.
Excellent. Veronica Kitt and David.
And I got one more thing coming up as a radio show.
All right. We out of time. I want to thank y'all for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And we'll see you next week. And I've been blessed to have these people here. And peace. We are out.